Hello, and how are you? Welcome to this session on origin of FGM, what we also call female genital mutilation. My name is Winnie Berawa. This channel focuses on lectures, lessons, and expert interviews pertaining to healthcare. And if you enjoy our work, don't forget to subscribe. So this today's lesson is supported by the Girl Generation, which is a movement that focuses on ending female genital mutilation in Kenya and in Africa in partnership with ACAF and University of Nairobi. ACAF means Africa Coordinating Center for the Abandonment of Female Genital Mutilation. Remember to follow their pages and check out their work in their social spaces. So let's keep on. We had started and introduced what FGM is, and then we looked at the prevalence of FGM and seen that this happens in different parts of the world, but there's a whole lot of concentration happening in Africa with a spread of like 90 million girls and women having been circumcised or rather been victims of circumcision or female genital circumcision. So in this class, we want to see what is the origin of female genital circumcision or where did it start or who started this idea in the first place? So let's redefine it again. So FGM is a harmful tradition and keeps happening in different parts of the world, and it's happening where you are possibly, and maybe you're not aware. But now the WHO defines FGM as all procedures that may involve partial or total removal of the female external genitalia or other injuries to the female genital organ for non-medical reasons or just for cultural reasons. So if the cut, the mutilation, or the engagement of the female genital organs for non-medical reason is being done, then we will call that FGM. And we have discussed before that this can be of different types. We can have type 1, we can have type 2, it could be type 3, and also type 4. And the severe of all this is type 3, where we talk about infibulation, and in here there is suturing of the lips so that there is a small opening left for the exit of the excretions, that is menstruation or urine. But now, what actually originated this process? Why would someone sit down and think of subjecting women for such a harmful practice or such a risky procedure in their bodies? The origin of FGM, unfortunately, it's not clearly known, or it's not clearly known who brought the idea or where this idea was all originated from, but it is being linked to the time of Pharaoh. That's thought that Egypt now is the country of origin. So it said that there's a strong link between FGM and slavery, that in the 1600s in Somalia, young slaves were being sutured up. Using the word sewed up sounds a bit harsh. So they're being sutured up so that they don't undergo conception, so that their cell value could actually go up. So like if you found a circumcised slave, then you're sure that they are not going able to engage in any sexual activity, and therefore you are having a safe slave. Rather, this is a slave who cannot get pregnant, they cannot engage in any sexual activity because their labia have been sutured up and there's no exit there. So in the equatorial African countries, herders were performed the practice to protect young female herders from being raped or to be used for human sacrificial practices. So you can see that the stories of origin had different, or different rationales, different reasons, different encouragement of why they were doing it. Then in India, the practice was said to be prevalent among the Bohra community who came from the North African region as a trading community. So you find that like in India, this was like an imported culture or practice which came from other country. And that takes us back about the aspect where community go to perform FGM in different countries and then they come back to their countries. So you can actually cross borders so that you get FGM done and then the person is brought back to the community. So India actually, I think, has that effect because the community will come do trading there and then they will practice it. And I think this now influenced part of the community in India to practice it. Then we have the practice was introduced in the Southeast Asian countries at around 13th century following reasons for Islamic conversion practices. So you can see also there are some religious practices that introduce part of this. I don't know how religion comes in, but some communities use religion as the reason why they practice female genital mutilations. So you find that in such cases, then countries like the Southeast Asians ended up being affected in such a case. So then there's the question, where is FGM being practiced or where will you find it? So 30 countries are still prevalent in Africa, mostly in the West, Eastern and the Northeastern Africans. And then there's a predominance happening in the Sub-Saharan Africa and in the Arab states. We also have part of the Middle East and the Mid-Asians. So these are countries that still have active practices, but within immigrant communities found in Europe, North America, New Zealand, and also Australia tends to be practicing this habit. So you find that the practice is spread out in different parts of the world. However, the origin of it has different theories and different stories around it. So basically, it's not one story that cuts across. However, it comes out as a community practice. It comes as a community identity. It seems to be driven by the community itself, and it originates within the community belief. So it was like a culture kind of a thing, and it is culture driven basically. So this was not any medical reasons. It has a lot of culture background of it. So here is the percentage of girls and women that have undergone FGM by country. This is adopted from the UNICEF documentation. And when you look at these countries, they spread out, as you can see. It's really on the belt cutting across West Africa, East Africa, part of the north of Africa. And then we have the Asian belt now coming in. So, and the Middle Eastern. So we have that the countries getting affected here is spread out. And this we have catered for it like in detail under the prevalence of FGM in the different ages and the different countries. But you can see it's varies. There are people who have very high indexes, like above 80% practicing FGM, like in Egypt and Sudan. Then we have those who are minimally practicing, less than 10%, like in Uganda and Cameroon. But however, these are all countries where FGM happens. Some is severe cases. In some cases, it's just a mild practice that is taking place. So regardless, this is what I would like to say, regardless of the percentage, I think FGM should just be stopped in all regards, so that we can keep our girls safe, we can keep our community accommodative, and we can prevent this hazardous practice, which is a huge violation of the human rights, and it is a promoter of gender inequality. And you can imagine about the medical complications that the girls and women undergo after the procedure. So let's end FGM, let's protect our women and girls. That brings us to the end of our lessons on the origin of FGM. And as you can see, it's all culture based. There's so many stories about it, from the story of Pharaoh in Egypt and linking of FGM to slavery, and the thinking that religion also requires us to perform FGM as an initiation procedure to joining that particular religion. So in this case, there are different stories that promote FGM, or there are different stories that try to indicate performing of this FGM. However, we all have understood that this is a violation of human rights, and we should hold our women and girls with high regards and basically ensure that we stop FGM. So thank you for staying with me up to this end. But guys, don't forget, we've not yet closed this training on FGM. It's a continuous FGM. A lot of thanks to ACAF and the University of Nairobi through the Girl Generation movement to just ending FGM in our community. So let's meet in our next class, or rather in our next lesson. Bye bye.